Have you ever wondered why, despite all your best efforts, prosperity seems to slip through your fingers? Have you noticed how some homes radiate peace and abundance, while others always seem to be under a cloud of financial trouble? What if I told you the answer might lie in the plants you cultivate in your own home? Today, I'm going to reveal a surprising insight that Pope John Paul II shared with some of his closest followers. Certain plants, though beautiful and seemingly harmless, may be silently blocking the flow of prosperity and peace in your life. You probably never imagined that decorative plant in your hallway or that vase in the living room could be creating an invisible barrier to the blessings that should be entering your home. Pope John Paul II, in his profound spiritual wisdom, always emphasized the importance of keeping our spaces free from negative influences, whether visible or not. What I'm going to share today isn't mere superstition, but ancient wisdom that has been confirmed by countless testimonies over the years. People who, after removing certain plants from their homes, saw their financial lives blossom in ways they never thought possible. Before we continue, I want you to look around. How many plants do you have in your home? Do you really know what they represent energetically? Because after this, you'll never look at your plants the same way again. If you're facing inexplicable financial difficulties, recurring health problems, or persistent family conflicts, this may be the moment of transformation you've been waiting for. Let's discover together which plants may be secretly sabotaging your prosperity. Let me tell you the story of Mariana, a teacher from São Paulo. For 2 years, she faced mounting debts and constant family conflicts. Her house, although well decorated, always felt heavy, as if a dense energy lingered in the air. One day, after attending a lecture on Pope John Paul II's teachings on sacred spaces, she decided to remove 7 specific types of plants from her home. In just 3 months, Mariana received an unexpected raise. Her debts began to decrease, and most surprisingly, harmony returned to her home. "It's as if a weight has been lifted from our lives," she reported with tears in her eyes. Plant 1. Ivy. The first plant that Pope John Paul II warned us to keep away from our homes is ivy. With its green leaves and ability to spread rapidly, many consider it an elegant addition to the decor. However, behind this harmless appearance lies an energy that can bring chaos to your finances. Ivy is known for its invasive nature and the way it expands uncontrollably. Pope John Paul II often used this plant as a metaphor to teach about the dangers of disorder in our lives. He would say, just as ivy chokes other plants as it expands without limits, certain influences in our home can choke our financial blessings. A notable case occurred in Belo Horizonte. Carlos, a businessman, kept several ivy plants in his home office. His finances were in constant disarray. Bills appeared out of nowhere, unexpected expenses arose, and it seemed impossible to maintain a stable budget. After learning about the Pope's teachings, he removed all the ivy. In less than a month, Carlos noticed a surprising change. He managed to organize his finances for the first time in years, and business opportunities began to appear. The spiritual explanation is simple. The energy of ivy brings with it chaos and unpredictability. Its growth pattern, enveloping and suffocating other plants, is a reflection of the way it can suffocate your financial opportunities. Furthermore, ivy is known to damage the structures where it grows, symbolizing how it can slowly erode the foundations of your financial stability. Pope John Paul II taught that our external environment reflects and influences our internal state. A plant that represents disorder and suffocation cannot bring prosperity and financial freedom. Therefore, if you have ivy in your home, consider replacing it with plants that promote order, controlled growth, and prosperity. Plant 2. Peace lily. The Peace lily, with its elegant green leaves and delicate white flowers, is one of the most popular indoor plants. Its name suggests tranquility and harmony, and many keep it at home believing that it purifies the air and brings peace to the environment. However, Pope John Paul II warned us that not everything that seems peaceful on the surface brings true spiritual and financial peace. We must have discernment to recognize when something beautiful on the outside hides an energetic imbalance. The Pope would say, the peace lily, despite its name and appearance, may actually be creating a subtle stagnation in your financial life. This plant has an energy that tends to absorb and retain, rather than allow the natural flow of prosperity. In Recife, I met the Mendes family, who kept several peace lilies in their living room. For years, they faced a curious financial situation. They didn't have major problems, but they also didn't progress. It was as if they were stuck in a state of comfortable survival without ever experiencing true abundance. After removing the peace lilies, following advice based on the Pope's teachings, within weeks they began to receive business proposals and opportunities they had been seeking for years. The spiritual reason for this phenomenon is that the peace lily works energetically like a sponge, absorbing and neutralizing the energies around it. While this can be beneficial for eliminating negativity, it can also inadvertently absorb the positive energies of prosperity and growth. It's like having a filter that's too powerful, removing not only the impurities, but also the essential nutrients. Furthermore, the peace lily is a plant that grows slowly and rarely expands beyond its original pot, a metaphor for the financial stagnation it can bring. Pope John Paul II taught us that our finances, like our faith, should be in constant growth and expansion, not in a state of permanent containment. Plant 3. Lucky bamboo, with its promising name and reputation for bringing good fortune, has found its way into thousands of homes. Many people keep it in offices and living rooms, believing that this plant attracts prosperity and abundance. However, the teachings of Pope John Paul II reveal a profoundly different perspective on this popular plant. True luck doesn't come from external symbols, but from the combination of sincere faith and actions aligned with divine principles, the Pope taught. This wisdom leads us to question, are we placing our trust in objects instead of developing our genuine spiritual connection? The story of Luisa, a shopkeeper from Porto Alegre, perfectly illustrates this point. After reading about feng shui, she placed several pots of lucky bamboo in strategic locations in her store, hoping to attract more customers and sales. Surprisingly, in the following months, her profits steadily declined and unexpected expenses arose. Determined to understand what was happening, Louisa attended a lecture on Pope John Paul II's teachings on energies in the home and decided to remove the bamboo. The change was remarkable. In just 2 weeks, sales began to recover, and a major customer who had disappeared returned to place regular orders. Why does this happen? Lucky bamboo, although visually appealing with its spiraled stalks, carries a contradictory energy. In nature, true bamboo grows strong and straight, symbolizing integrity and direct growth. Lucky bamboo, however, is artificially twisted and manipulated to grow in spirals, representing complicated and indirect paths, a metaphor for financial complications and detours on the path to prosperity. Furthermore, many lucky bamboos are kept only in water, without soil. Pope John Paul II often spoke about the importance of strong roots in our spiritual and material life. A plant without proper roots symbolizes a weak connection to the foundations necessary for true prosperity and financial stability. Most concerning is that, contrary to popular belief, lucky bamboo isn't even true bamboo. It belongs to the Dracaena family, creating a kind of false identity. This plant can inadvertently attract energies of illusion and falsehood, into our finances. Plant 4. Cacti have become extremely popular in modern decor. With their distinctive appearance and ease of maintenance, many people choose them to add a touch of green to their homes without the worry of constant care. However, Pope John Paul II had a profound view on these thorny inhabitants of our homes. That which we build around ourselves reflects and affects our spiritual journey. The Pope would say, we must be attentive to the symbols we surround ourselves with in our sacred home space. Cacti, with their prominent thorns, are natural symbols of defense and protection, but also of isolation and detachment. Teresa, a lawyer from Florianopolis, decorated her new apartment with a collection of different cacti. In the following months, she noticed a curious pattern. Despite her professional talent, career opportunities always seemed to pass her by. Potential clients made initial contact, but then disappeared without explanation. After attending a spiritual retreat where she learned about the Pope's teachings on harmonious environments, Teresa decided to remove the cacti from her home. The change was almost immediate. Within 2 weeks, she received 3 proposals from important clients and an offer for partnership in a prestigious firm. The explanation for this phenomenon lies in the symbolic energy of the thorns. While cacti developed thorns as a protective mechanism against predators in the desert, in our homes, this same energy can create invisible barriers that ward off not only negative energies, but also opportunities, abundance, and positive connections. It's as if the thorns create an energetic field that says, keep away, a message that the universe can interpret literally in relation to prosperity. Furthermore, cacti are desert plants, adapted to survive with minimal resources. They represent scarcity and survival, not abundance and prosperity. Pope John Paul II often reminded us that we must cultivate a mindset of divine abundance, not scarcity. Having symbols of survival in adverse conditions can inadvertently program our minds to operate in just enough mode, instead of more than enough. The thorns also symbolize aggression and hostility, energies that can manifest in financial conflicts, difficult negotiations, or recurring obstacles in your path to prosperity. As the Pope taught, our environment should reflect peace and openness, not defensiveness and closure. Plant 5. Ferns. The fern, with its lacy and lush green leaves, is one of the most traditional decorative plants in homes around the world. Its luxuriant appearance and ability to grow in indoor environments have made it a favorite for adding life to any space. However, behind this natural beauty, Pope John Paul II identified an energy that may be silently draining your financial and spiritual vitality. We must have discernment about what we invite into our homes, the Pope warned. Even that which seems beautiful and harmless can be consuming more than it is offering. This wisdom applies perfectly to the energy of the fern in our environments. Claudia, a businesswoman from Rio de Janeiro, kept several large ferns in her home, admiring their beauty and the way they filled the spaces. However, she noticed a disturbing pattern. Despite her business growing, there always seemed to be a lack of money at the end of the month. It was as if resources were slipping through her fingers without logical explanation. After learning about the Pope's teachings on plant energies, she decided to remove the ferns. The result was impressive. In just 2 months, she managed not only to balance her finances, but also to start accumulating reserves for the first time in years. The spiritual reason for this phenomenon lies in the natural characteristics of the fern. This plant is extremely demanding in terms of maintenance, requiring constant watering, high humidity, and frequent attention. In nature, ferns are known for quickly consuming the nutrients from the soil around them. This voracious characteristic is reflected energetically in our homes. When we keep ferns at home, we are inadvertently hosting an energy of constant consumption, a pattern that can manifest in our finances through unexpected expenses, bills that never seem to decrease, or a perpetual feeling that resources are insufficient. It's like having an invisible energy leak in your financial life. Furthermore, ferns have a peculiar requirement. They need little direct light. They thrive in shady and humid areas. Pope John Paul II often emphasized the importance of light as a symbol of clarity and divine truth. A plant that prefers shadows may symbolically be blocking clarity in your financial decisions or obscuring opportunities that should be visible in your life. The constant humidity that ferns require also creates an environment conducive to fungi and mold, symbolizing how this plant can attract stagnation and gradual deterioration to your finances. Plant 6. Bonsai. The bonsai, with its miniaturized beauty and artistic aspect, is admired worldwide as a symbol of peace, balance, and harmony with nature. Many people keep these small trees in their homes and offices, fascinated by their longevity and aesthetic form. However, the teachings of Pope John Paul II invite us to look beyond the superficial beauty and understand the deeper spiritual symbolism of this plant. God created us to grow and flourish to our full capacity, the Pope taught. We must question any symbol that celebrates the limitation of the potential that the Creator planted in us. This wisdom leads us to reconsider the presence of bonsai in our homes. The story of Ricardo, an entrepreneur from Brasilia, perfectly illustrates this point. Passionate about Eastern culture, he kept a precious collection of bonsais in his home office. Despite his talent and dedication, Ricardo always felt that his career and finances were contained, as if there was an invisible ceiling limiting his growth. After a lecture on spiritual symbolism based on the Pope's teachings, he decided to relocate his bonsai to the outdoor garden. The change in his professional life was remarkable. In less than 3 months, he received an invitation to expand his business internationally, an opportunity he had sought unsuccessfully for years. The spiritual reason for this phenomenon lies in the very essence of bonsai. This ancient art consists of deliberately restricting the growth of a tree that in nature would be majestic and imposing. Through constant pruning, nutrient limitation, and root confinement, the bonsai is kept as a miniaturized version of its true potential. Energetically, keeping a bonsai at home is like symbolically stating, "I believe in the beauty of limitation and contained potential." This subconscious message can manifest in our finances as self-sabotage, missed opportunities, or a persistent inability to break through financial barriers. Pope John Paul II often spoke about the importance of freedom to grow, both spiritually and in our earthly vocations. The bonsai represents the opposite, a beautiful prison, but still a prison. Its roots are systematically pruned so that they cannot expand, symbolizing how our ability to create deep financial roots may be being unconsciously sabotaged. Furthermore, maintaining a bonsai requires constant intervention to prevent its natural growth, a disturbing metaphor for how we may be intervening against our own financial flourishing without realizing it. Plant 7. Hydrangea. The hydrangea, with its exuberant flowers forming large, colorful clusters, is considered a symbol of beauty and elegance in gardens and decorative arrangements. Its vibrant shades of blue, purple, and pink win admirers worldwide. However, behind this dazzling facade, Pope John Paul II identified a contradictory energy that may be silently interfering with the harmony and prosperity of your home. True beauty must nurture both the eye and the soul, the Pope said. We must be attentive to that which, despite pleasing the eyes, can weigh upon the spirit. This teaching invites us to look beyond the superficial appearance of the hydrangea and understand its deeper energetic impact. Amanda, a therapist from Curitiba, decorated her office with several hydrangeas, attracted by their beauty and relaxing colors. Curiously, in the following months, she noticed a pattern among her clients and in her own life. Recurring episodes of melancholy, difficulty overcoming emotional blocks, and a feeling of emotional heaviness for no apparent reason. After studying the Pope's teachings on spiritual symbolism of plants, she decided to replace the hydrangeas with other flowers. The change in the environment was immediately noticeable. Clients commented on the lightness of the space, and her own creativity and financial prosperity began to flow again. The spiritual reason for this phenomenon lies in the natural characteristics and historical symbolism of the hydrangea. In many ancient cultures, especially in the East, the hydrangea was associated with sadness and regret. In Japan, it was traditionally offered as a request for forgiveness or expression of remorse, literally, a flower laden with grief. Furthermore, hydrangeas are known for their ability to change color depending on the acidity of the soil, symbolizing emotional instability and inconstancy. This characteristic is reflected energetically as a difficulty in maintaining stability in finances and relationships. Pope John Paul II always emphasized the importance of joy and spiritual lightness in our environments. The hydrangea, despite its beauty, carries a dense energy that can create a field of subtle melancholy in your home, affecting not only your emotional state, but also your ability to attract and maintain prosperity. Another worrying characteristic is that hydrangeas, although dazzling, are slightly toxic, both to humans and animals. This physical toxicity is a reflection of their ability to create a subtle, energetic toxicity, blocking the natural flow of blessings in your environment. The plant also requires large amounts of water to maintain its impressive flowers, symbolizing how it can drain emotional and financial resources imperceptibly but constantly. Now that you know the plants that may be secretly sabotaging your prosperity, it's natural to ask, what should I do? What plants can I have in my home? Pope John Paul II not only warned us about negative influences, but also guided us towards alternatives that can truly bless our homes. The first thing to consider is how to properly remove the mentioned plants. The Pope taught that we should act with respect and gratitude for all divine creations. Don't throw away your plants abruptly. Consider donating them to public spaces where their energy can dissipate, or to people who aren't seeking financial growth at this time. When removing the plant, say a small prayer of release. I thank you for the teachings I received through this plant, and I release my home to receive new blessings. Next, it's essential to energetically cleanse the space where the plant was. Pope John Paul II recommended simple methods like opening the windows to allow fresh air circulation, lighting a white candle symbolizing purification, or sprinkling holy water in the corners of the house. These simple gestures help to dissipate any residual energy that may remain. As for beneficial alternatives, the Pope often mentioned plants that symbolize healthy growth and prosperity. The money tree, Pachira aquatica, is recognized for its energy of abundance and balanced growth. Unlike lucky bamboo, it grows naturally with strong roots and intertwined trunks that symbolize financial stability. Lavender, with its serene aroma, not only purifies the environment, but also attracts energies of peace and mental clarity, essential for making good financial decisions. The Pope valued aromatic plants as symbols of the sweet fragrance of divine providence in our homes. Jasmine, especially near work or study areas, can attract opportunities and inspiration. Pope John Paul II often mentioned how certain fragrances, can elevate our spiritual awareness and attract blessings. Plants with rounded leaves like the pilea are especially recommended for areas related to finances, such as offices or where you pay bills. Their circular shape symbolizes completeness and continuous abundance. Remember that the most important thing isn't just which plants you choose, but the intention with which you keep them. The Pope always emphasized that objects in our home are extensions of our beliefs and intentions. When watering your new plants, do so with gratitude and positive affirmations about prosperity and abundance. Finally, Pope John Paul II reminded us that no plant, no matter how beneficial, replaces an authentic relationship with the divine. Plants are symbols and aids in our spiritual journey, not primary sources of blessings. Keep your faith as the main foundation of your prosperity, using plants only as physical reminders of spiritual truths. We've reached the end of this surprising revelation about how certain plants, though beautiful, may be secretly blocking prosperity in your life. As we've seen through the teachings of Pope John Paul II, our environment isn't just decorative, it's a reflection and a constant influence on our spiritual and material journey. Think for a moment, how many of these plants do you have in your home right now? The ivy that grows without limits, the peace lily that silently absorbs your vital energy, the lucky bamboo that falsely promises abundance, the cacti that ward off not only the negative but also blessings, the fern always thirsty for resources, the bonsai that celebrates contained potential, or the hydrangea with its melancholic beauty. Each of these plants carries a deep lesson about how seemingly innocent symbols can have a powerful impact on our financial life and well-being. Pope John Paul II always reminded us that we are integral beings. Our physical choices affect our spiritual reality and vice versa. Now you have knowledge that few possess. The decision to transform your environment is in your hands. Many people who have applied these teachings report extraordinary changes, not only in their finances, but in their inner peace, relationships, and sense of purpose. Remember, true prosperity isn't just material. As the Pope taught, it's a state of abundance that flows when we remove blockages and open ourselves completely to divine blessings. Sometimes, the first step to this openness is as simple as reconsidering which plants we invite into our sacred space. If this knowledge has touched your heart, don't keep it just for yourself. Share it with those you love and who may be unconsciously blocking their own blessings through these plants. Your generosity in sharing may be the key that opens doors of abundance in the life of someone special. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, do so now to receive more revelations that can transform your spiritual and material life. Together, we can create homes that not only look beautiful, but that truly nurture our journey to the integral prosperity we deserve. Until the next video, may God abundantly bless your home and your life.